God's Word today, July 24th, 2024. We are still in the book of Isaiah, tackling chapters 44 to 48. And God continuing to instruct, to give hope and purpose, and again, just powerful things here in the book of Isaiah. But now hear, O Jacob, my servant, Israel, whom I have chosen. Thus says the Lord who made you. You could just stop right there, right? Because that's also true for you. It's also true for me. He's the one that makes us. Oh, we all have parents, whether you know them or not. You had parents, right? But God's the one that, what? He's the Lord who made you, who formed you from the womb and will help you. Fear not, O Jacob, my servant. Jeshurun, whom I have chosen. I will pour water on the thirsty land and streams on the dry ground. I will pour my spirit upon your offspring and my blessing on your descendants. They shall spring up among the grass like willows by flowing streams. This one will say, I am the Lord's. Another will call on the name of Jacob. Another will write on his hand the Lord's and name himself by the name of Israel. There's an element to that is very much knit into the fabric of the people of God, the Jews. And when Paul, in Romans 9 through 11 in particular, talks about the idea that we are grafted in, that the promises of God are still true in and for Israel, and that we get to be grafted into those promises. Now we can look back on things like this and go, wow, yeah, that's as much true for me as it is for Israel. Because we see that in the New Testament, right? That God's heart is for his people. And where does this all flow out of? Verse 6, thus is the Lord, the King of Israel, and his Redeemer, the Lord of hosts. I am the first and the last. Beside me there is no God. Who is like me? Let him proclaim it. Let him declare and set it before me. Since I appointed an ancient people, let them declare what is to come and what will happen. Fear not, nor be afraid. Have I not told you from of old and declared it, and you are my witnesses? Is there a God beside me? There is no rock. I know not any. All who fashion idols are nothing. And he's going to talk about that at some length and the redemption that he has for Israel. And then chapter 45, he's got a plan for Cyrus, and he's prophesying about something that's still to come. And, you got all these things being knit together. And so for the people of God to hear the heart of God, I think that's something that we need to learn too. That as we read these Old Testament passages, that we don't go, wow, that's an exciting story for the Jews of that day. All right? That's the context. That's how we understand it to begin with. And then we apply it through the lens of the New Testament. As it looked to Jesus in its day, we look back and see Jesus in that day and him moving and working for his people. And so the promises, yeah, maybe they're a little different, right? We don't just snatch all those promises, but what's true about who God is then is true about who God is now. And so when you get into the promises of God to us and for us, you're going to start to see that come together in some ways, because God's the same yesterday, today, and forever. And what this does, I think, is just help us understand a little more about why it's important to not just in theory support Israel, but with prayer support Israel, with real keen interest, right? Because as that country goes, so goes the plan of God, as they're trying to figure out what's next, you just sort of watch what's happening there in Israel. It's going to give some clues. But God's not going to abandon them. He's called them. He's covenanted with them and to them. And so he reminds them over and over of who he is. And we need that reminder as well, to know that he is God. There is no other. That he's sovereign over all things. He's the rock. Let's follow him today. Until next time, keep growing little by little.